It's July 25th, 2019. I think this is the Mill B Basin up Butler Fork. Anyway, this video is going to be a review and commentary regarding the National Museum of African American History and Culture in D.C. Recently toured that museum with my family, and the museum starts with well, when you go in there, you kind of start at the in the basement, and as you're going down, it shows you how you're going down to 1400. So it starts at 1400, talks about all the events that happened since then, with a strong focus on slavery. All the events that happened since then. And then the final pinnacle event is the election of President Obama. So 1400 through the election of President Obama, the sum total of a popular view of Black American history during those periods. So, a few things. The museum, well, one key point about the museum is that it doesn't just portray events, it gives interpretations. And those interpretations are basically those of D.C. area elitists, and also of culturally Marxist, intersectional, postmodernist academics. Okay? Their worldview is basically portrayed and taught in this so-called history museum. Okay. Now, why is it so called? Because of the things it omits. For example, it doesn't talk about, that I saw, the involvement of Muslims with regard to the African slave trade. It may not also mention how there were blacks who had slaves. It also probably doesn't mention how the primary reason that the Civil War was fought, the American Civil War, was over a dispute over the existence of slavery. In order to be a member state of the Confederates States of America, you had to allow slavery in your state. Okay? This idea that the Civil War was not fought over slavery is basically a lie. And it's unclear to me as to why people on the so-called right would want to perpetuate the lie, but it is a lie. So, 360, the museum also doesn't celebrate the fact that 365,000 Northern Army soldiers who happen to have the same skin color as me, pink skin, also called whites, although I think our skin is pink. Those who have pink skin, their skin is pink, not white. Anyway, 365,000 Northern Army soldiers died so that universal slavery could be ended. And also the British Navy paid some price in blood, pink skin blood, so that universal slavery could be ended worldwide. Now, slavery continues. Where? In Muslim lands. So, in the museum, they have some statues of the founding fathers, so-called, of America. And they have them colored with dark color for some reason. And they claim that it was a paradox. It wasn't a paradox. The paradox of having slavery in America, when America was founded, the United States, wasn't really a paradox. It was more of a transitional period. And transitional period between having universal slavery and not. Okay? And transitional period where it took a few years for the gears of fully realized Western Enlightenment values to kick in. The gears of fully realized Western Enlightenment values to kick in. Okay? So, a museum can omit true facts, historical facts, in order to convey a certain narrative. And it's worth noting that a root problem with regard to academia today is the existence of culturally Marxist postmodernism. And basic Marxism, which seeks to see people through power narratives. In any case, you can check out the works of Jordan Peterson and Stephen Hicks with regard to the primary problems with postmodernism. Secondary sources would be people like Gad Saad, to some extent, and Stefan Molyneux. But and also Carl Benjamin is a good source. But in any case, a number of the classic liberals, so-called, are increasingly waking up to how the problems of culturally Marxist postmodernism are touching upon social issues. But some remain hoodwinked to the problem partially. In any case, black children, what they should be, should black children be taught pride in their race? Now, the answer to that question should be derived from also reversing or switching the words in that sentence to, should white children have pride in white heritage? The leftists will scream no. Okay? Leftists are engaging in a Ponzi scheme with regard to virtue signaling about the evils of white culture. But it was white culture that brought, it was the culture of people who happen to have pink skin, people from northern or colder climates, northern latitudes, colder climates, who happen to have pink skin, so as to get more vitamin D, an evolutionary adaptation. people who happen to have that trait also happen to bring humanity out of the Dark Ages. And also, before the Dark Ages, the Middle Ages, the Dark Ages weren't so dark, actually, but before the Middle Ages, we had classic Western culture from places like Greece and Rome. That culture, and the culture which eventually ended universal slavery, came from humans who happen to have less melanin in their skin. So, should we thank Whitey for that? Should we thank Whitey's DNA for that? Or should we thank Whitey's memes for that? Should we thank genes? Or should we thank memes? Or should we thank a combination of the two? Which should we thank for an end to universal slavery? I think it's a combination, but in any case, if you see something that's useful, why not pick it up? So, what can black people have pride in? They can have pride that they survived being enslaved. Now, people with my skin color can think that too, but we are harder to identify with regard to that because when whites were enslaved, pinkskins, there's some note of it, but I guess it happened by happenstance in such a time that it maybe wasn't documented as so much or isn't noted so much, but it nevertheless happened for sure. I mean, there was universal slavery. There was slavery with the Amerindian tribes, the noble savages. Why do I say noble savage? Well, there's every time you think you hear about some American Indian thing, a person like me is supposed to go, ooh, man, those American Indians, they knew how to do things better, and if bad Europeans wouldn't have come, then they just would have had like a fucking paradise. But that fucking paradise had wars of conquest and had slavery. So it wasn't a fucking paradise before the Europeans came to America. Now, admittedly, there were bad things that happened when Europeans came to the American continent. But there were also good things. Let's make note of both instead of ignoring the good things. The same thing with a similar situation exists with the Indian Museum on the National Mall. There's zero mention of how Amerindian tribes had wars of conquest and slavery. Wars of conquest and slavery. So these museums in D.C., they are about furthering, basically, in their modern incarnation, their most recent incarnations, they are about furthering basic lies about human history. Yes, let's make note of the bad, but let's also make note of the good. Did a pink skin ever do something bad in the past? Sure. Should I feel guilty for that? No. Did a pink skin ever do something good in the past? Yes. Should I feel pride for that? Some. Why not? Why not feel a little bit of pride? But I want all humans to be successful. I want black people to be successful. And I suggest the best way that you can be successful is to not be dependent on the government, to not have the government be a replacement father, to not have the government enable bad behavior, to not destroy the black family through welfare and oppressive drug laws. The black family got destroyed by LBJ's Great Society. LBJ, a Democrat. The Democrat Party was the party of slavery. The Democrat Party was the party of the KKK, of Jim Crow, of booting the Amerindian people off their lands. The Democrat Party was the party of interning the Japanese during World War II, Japanese Americans, Japanese ancestry Americans. So let's ascribe some blame to the Democrat Party meme set. And what I just listed to you is some key reasons why I renounce my prior association with the Democrat Party. So, Barack Obama, according to the noted African American Museum, is the pinnacle of black culture. But note that in order to be a pinnacle, I guess you have to be half pink skin, right? And maybe that is a pinnacle, I guess, because it's like, okay, lots of people like me voted for Obama happily. Is that a pinnacle? Well, okay. But it kind of sours the situation a little bit when we have people like Obama, who was trained to hate America in churches like the Church of Jeremiah Wright. Obama was trained to hate America by people like Bill Ayers. Obama was trained to hate America by people like Saul Alinsky. Obama was trained to hate America by his own father. You want to hate America? Well, then let's bring back slavery, because America helped end universal slavery. You want to hate America? Well, then let's just have wars of conquest again. I mean, think about, and America, did America have wars of conquest? I think about the current state of Japan and the state of Germany. Technically advanced, largely thriving countries, especially Japan, although China seems to be rising. But in any case, Japan had a great boom and is continuing. Technically advanced, thriving countries. So, anyway, so museums should have true history going on. This is kind of a steep part of the trail going down. All right, I'm approaching the 20-minute mark, so I think I will end the vid here. Okay? So, take pride in the good things that your group did, whatever it is, but, and try to suck up things that are useful from other cultures. That's true also. So, anyway.